Hello ladies and gents, I am Nother, and welcome back to From the Depths, Nother Neter, the community campaign. The first spawns we're going to be looking at in the designer is the cannon fodder. The tier 1 designs will be just spawning in, as I said, as cannon fodder. And I'm going to spawn 3 in from Dammit. They are not going to last particularly long, so yeah, we'll see how they go. The first one is the battle barge. Here is the battle barge. It is a barge with a couple of big cram cannons on and some simple auto cannons. Nothing particularly fancy, but I'm not really expecting it to be particularly fancy as a tier 1 when it has cram cannons because, well, they are very, very expensive in order to fit on a craft there. Also, they're actually 4 facing ones as well, which is a bit odd. We'll just, go on, turn around. Turn around. Okay, no, or not. Let's just face it towards its target, the battle barge version 7, and wow, yeah, they fire those double cram cannons pretty fancy there. We also have the battle barge version 5, which I believe is the same sort of concept. Might just be this one is APS variant. It's a big turret on a floating platform. Very similar concept there. So yeah, let's see how they do. Fire, boom, boom. Yep. Very, very simple concept, big turret on a floating platform. Probably a terrible idea against the Onyx Watch because, yeah, when against the Onyx Watch, not moving against them is going to cause huge amounts of trouble. Fortunately, the recoil is actually probably high enough in order for the craft to push themselves out of the way, which is really quite neat. The third design from Dammit is the WSS Akon. This is a submarine, which actually looks fairly like a submarine. This actually might be fairly effective against the Onyx Watch, since they have really limited actual defenses against submarines. So we'll go and send it against the Warden and just see if it is able to avoid the hits. Not if it starts at the water surface. There's a bit of a problem. And it doesn't seem to want to be launching torpedoes. Onyx Watch is also firing randomly towards it. Let's just actually load another one underwater to see if this actually helps its defense capability. There we go. It does fire torpedoes and missiles all over the place, so there is at least that going for it. Whether or not they're going to do anything to the Onyx Watch craft is another matter, since, well, they have some EMP and fragmentation, so at least there is a chance that they'll knock out cram gauges, like they have done there, and also just do some small amount of damage. Otherwise, I am hopefully they actually might work out pretty well, because submarines, as I said, are really, really strong against the Onyx Watch. The main bulk of the force, though, is going to be a new division of tier 2s, and the first one is going to be from Nother. That is the Tesla Rotor. This is an actually fully RTG design, so I'm going to spawn this in play in the campaign because it actually pretty much halves its cost. It does mean that this is essentially a tier 1 in a tier 2 slot though. But since it is fully RTG, it will actually not run out of fuel or anything during the combat, which is brilliant. It's also designed to be further away from its target than it currently is. It does have a nice little railgun, which I'm hoping will do decently well against the metal craft of the Onyx Watch. And yes, it does seem to be doing a decent amount there, though it's fairly stationary and it could take a really nasty beating against Onyx Watch crams there. Particularly, like what's just happened, the main rotors get taken offline. There's a bit of potential not to work especially well, which would be a shame. I did want to hopefully see it work quite well, but if that's not the case, then we do have another design from Nother to replace it, should that be the case. From Bacon, rather than having the marksman, we will now have the battle barge. This is dedicated as a support craft for our fleet. The reason for that is that this has a massive disruptor cannon, so this will shred shields of the Onyx Watch pretty quick. I know the Warden doesn't have shields, but you can see when it says fire, the shells are pretty quick and it will actually be getting it disrupt rounds there. And there's also smoke and disruptor, so it is purely a support craft. Smoke runs two things. It means that the Onyx Watch gimbaling is going to be severely limited, so that their actual gimbal sensors are going to be worse, resulting in a poor accuracy against us. You can see that is partly the case. So we have decent accuracy against them. They're having a little bit of difficulty lining up with the range there, which is absolutely fantastic for us and not good for them. It also means that any of their LAM systems will be disabled, reducing their strength against our shells and missiles, which was a fairly significant point of the Alcazar completely ripping us apart, as was the Iron Cordon, both of which have really quite potent LAM systems. The third and final tier 2 being spawned in this time is from the Gaia Phage, and that is the LK-08. This is a forward-facing laser craft. Something again I think will work rather well against the Onyx Watch, though probably not so well with the aforementioned smoke gun. But forward-facing lasers will do a very strong amount of damage, trying to core straight through to the AI. It does huge amounts of damage here, and you can see it's just going straight for that AI and ammo components there. And being able to take out the AI of some of those bigger crafts, such as the Alcazar, the Huskarl, will really speed up the combat, because some of the combat has been really very slow. We've been able to do a decent amount of damage, but not actually finishing anyone off. And Lasercraft will be able to do that very well. The other craft we have for the tier 3 slot is the Rain, and that is also Lasercraft, so will work well in a similar manner. As for our designs which were being used last episode, I did think the Hammer Time did work very well. Its pen rounds were very potent and were always visible when they struck. It wasn't necessarily the most overall damaging, but each strike was very noticeable when it did hit, and that is pretty good because it means that, yeah, they're taking significant damage from our forces there. The other one was, well, the Pretzel had a good number of torpedoes, which I hadn't realised, and they too were doing a decent job of, well, essentially slowing down the Onyx Watch, destroying thrusters, propellers, all sorts of things, which is actually a very good feature. I did like the torpedoes we had. I didn't really know who was really spawning them, and the Pretzel was one of the craft which was firing those off. My craft, the Arethusa, was doing a decent job as well, being able to tank a very large number of the enemy attacks. So that is something I did, well, consider to be a very important factor. In terms of raw damage though, I do think the Sea Hog actually had it for us. It did a huge amount, being able to land strikes directly down on its targets, doing a really rather substantial amount of damage against the enemy. So I'm very pleased we have that in our forces. And finally, the Condor Wing was absolutely fantastic, and I do really hope it continues being updated throughout this campaign, because something like this is going to prove to be really useful as a group of swarming drones for the future. So, I believe the SMABs, the Citadel, and the Battle Barge will work well as a wing, as a division, and then the LK-08, the Rain, and the Sea Hog as a flying group will also do rather well. Then we also have the new tier 1s as our, well, cannon fodder group. They're going to be spawned in over here. Let's move the Logi Darts over here as well. So I'm summoning this in play, so we are able to actually exploit the RTGs. The reason this is an exploit is that RTGs, when they're spawned in play like this, they count as being repaired, and the repairs for RTGs are cheaper than when you build them, well, out of play, or actually when you place the block down. So this does make it quite a bit cheaper. It comes out to around about 16-17k rather than the 30k listed in the actual construction there. So it is quite a nice little exploit which you can use to exploit for tons of materials, but it was just done here so that we are able to have this design as the, well, how it was intended. It was intended to be a cheap design, but if I spawned it out of play, it would actually be very expensive for what it actually provides. There we go, the Tesla rotor is completed, and I think we'll actually do a good job alongside the battle barge, because the battle barge has that nasty little system of destroying shields, and then it can actually exploit that fact by using that railgun. If it didn't use the railgun, then it wouldn't do very well, I feel. Ooh, good grief, look at these Onyx Watch forces we have coming towards us. We have Glaive Pass and Baileys, yeah, then Clydesdale Winstay Ironclad, then we have a Huskal Iron Cross, okay, another Huskal, Bailey, yeah. Then, oh, an Iron Cordon, fantastic. And then this is Constitution Poseidon, but that looks like it's reinforcing this group here. Okay, well, let's get ready in position. I do kind of want to send in this group, but the battle barge is not complete. I suppose I could actually just send it in anyway. Yeah, let's send this lot in. Right, so we have quite a few lasercraft, and this is going to be quite an interesting fight, I believe. The enemy has a load of Age of Sail craft. Oh, they've got this thing. That's the glaive, isn't it? That can absolutely rip our Air Force to pieces. That's got some nasty laser systems. Though it does only point basically straight up. Still, we have potential to lose a lot of our airplanes. Good job I didn't spawn in the Condor. Yeah, the Condor wing would have taken so much damage from the laser glaive there. And it does actually have quite a powerful land system as well, which is proving difficult for our other missiles, so yeah, would have been difficult there. It is, though, taking a real nasty shot at the Rain, as the Rain just flies round orbiting, because it does orbit fairly close, pretty much in that 45-degree arc of the glaive, which is really unfortunate, because it's just going to take so much damage from that Onyx Watch lasercraft. The two battle barges there have just rammed into each other, causing considerable amounts of damage, which is very, very irritating. And if they're quite content to kill each other, then the Onyx Watch don't even need to pay them any heed whatsoever, because, well, yeah, they're murdering each other. The glaive's main gun has now been disabled, but its laser system has just now taken out the Rain. The Rain now falling limply down to the sea. The other lasercraft, the K-08, is now firing through the base of the glaive, taking out the internal components. It also looks like one of the weaker ships just detonated completely into tiny little blocks there. And the sail ships also being shot up, and it's now just a matter of time before the Onyx Watch are completely defeated and they all despawn, and we win this battle. Well, the cannon fodder all survived. The battle barge did decently well, actually. They did manage to rip each other apart. One thing I did forget was, yeah, the glaive is actually really quite nasty laser. Good job we managed to survive that. The Rain did take quite a beating, though. Just trying to clear out this tile is going to be absolutely hell. Look at all of it. Right, let's go attack this group with the cannon fodder, the Condor, and the Rain. Oh, heck! We've got both forces. Right, pulling in that as well. I thought we were only going to face one. If we're facing both, then I need to increase the size of the fleet. Yeesh, that's going to be a bit of a hell of a battle. Wow, the enemy have a lot of stuff. Quite a lot spawned in as well. So, I think that's the Clydesdale. Some nice, well, intermediary and Age of Sail craft here. And we've got this beast. I think this is the Huskal. Yeah, that is quite the beast. Are we going to be able to manage it, though, with the forces we have here? And that is a bit of a theme, really. It's about the forces which we have. Because although we have quite a good range of forces, the Onyx Watch are actually very, very powerful. They have a huge array of guns, and as can be seen here, this poor little battle barge is just getting completely swarmed with cram and APS bombardment there. As retaliation, though, we have our lasercraft doing huge amounts of damage to the enemy ships, though they are firing underneath the waterline. So although they're aiming nicely at the ammo barrels and the weak components, they take so much less damage against the under the sea there, just because the water reduces the damage so much for laser weaponry. I actually can't remember the exact amount, but it is really very significant. Also, our lasercraft are getting shot at a fair amount. Thankfully, it didn't take too much hits there. It took a little bit of damage to the top, but most of the damage is actually being fired at the Arethusa here, is indicated by the amount of damage it has taken there. It also has taken a couple of bombardments and losing some of its actual engines, which means that its land systems are no longer as fully operational. This giant Haskell, though, is still going strong. It's taken some damage to the sails and that, but in fact this ramming attack by its own ally is probably the most damage it has done, because that attack actually ended up taking out part of the rear section, making it float up into the sky like so, allowing our bombs and all of our other craft to shoot it much easier. And I'm actually cutting out a fair amount of the kill time for that craft, just because of how long it takes. Thankfully though, our torpedoes now start striking and detonating the APS weaponry, reducing its damage output. But even so, even though it's completely ineffectual, it takes a very, very long time for it to despawn and be destroyed fully there. That Haskell has a lot of shielding. I am glad I had the torpedoes from the Hammer Time there. They were able to, well, break through after the awesome bombardment from the Condor, which disabled a good amount of the shields and the defences. It wasn't going down, and then it seemed that the torpedoes from the Hammer Time actually managed to catch up with the Haskell and disable it, which was very nice. I'm going to get rid of this battle barge, the middle one, because I don't want to keep on repairing them. Because it was disabled very, very early on in the combat, so we're going to just scrap that one, and then we'll just repair the other two up. Since they were around, I think they were both also disabled. At least this way, there's a little bit more of a chance of them functioning. Unfortunately, Arethusa took a really rather large amount of damage. I think it could be because of its size. Compared to the other things, it has a very large volume. I think it's actually the largest of all craft we have in play. I think that's just making a big target, which is doing its job, but it does mean that it's actually taking a lot of hits each battle and is eventually just going down, which is a real shame. This next force though, Warrior, Partisan, Harlech... Oh no, it's got a Trebuchet. Right, so the Arethusa and Hammer Time are not coming in to start with, so we've mainly got everything else coming in. I'm going to hop on the battle barge. Oh my, that is a lot of enemy. The Harlech isn't spawned in, but I think that's the Treb. So the Trebuchet is a nasty, nasty craft. It's got very high DPS. Yeah, the Trebuchet. This thing is horrific. See, there's 3 big bombardments straight towards the battle barge, the one with the disrupt cannon. So yeah, like, that is incredibly nasty, and I think, okay, that's painful, but it's still firing more guns at it. Though thankfully, it's decided that the rain is now a bigger target, and it's firing its APS weaponry at that. And thankfully the rain is good speed to avoid a lot of those shots. The other Longbox craft though are firing all their guns in a multitude of directions, and eventually do kill Rambots there, because I was sitting on the battle barge. I try and jump on again and immediately get shot again. The Seahawk is doing a good amount of damage, but as soon as those big APS weaponry targets towards it, it doesn't stand a chance, and same for the rain. It was doing an absolutely fantastic job, but eventually it took a hit and it just ditches straight into the sea when one of those very, very large cannons strikes it. And it's predominantly now the big craft there. We have a good number of crafts all spawned in. We've got the Harlech, and that, I thought it was probably doing actual chrome cannons, but it looks like it has a few APS weaponry mixed in amongst it all, and it's just doing huge amounts of damage. The Arethusa attempts to tank some of the shots, but with everything firing at it, it doesn't stand a chance, and I retreat from this battle now to save materials. Whoa, that was nasty. Got 10,000 salvage there, which I really want to try and get hold of. I think the cannon fodder might just have to be scrapped actually. Good, good. And I'll try and grab these resources, and I've also seemed to have angered another bulwark and a Grendel. Okay. That trebuchet just completely messed everything up. That was really rather horrific. Okay, Larger Dart, need to send you on a resource run. Phoenix Interceptor, why are you over there? I thought you died. What I am going to do, I'm going to spawn a refinery at near the front lines, because this is part of what my staging post or the auxiliary ship is going to include, but I haven't actually got around to building it. I wanted to record another episode. Because I've got a refinery over here and repair ball and not that. And I can actually get rid of that repair ball now. That's no longer needed. I can actually build it, and then I'll have a source of fuel right near the front lines. Because, well, we've got fuel for the moment, but our forces are running a little bit low here and there. And if we run out of fuel, particularly with something like the laser craft, yeah, that's going to be a bit of a problem, because we won't be able to use lambs or anything like that. I think our only choice to try and attack this force again, and we are hemorrhaging materials at quite the rate. This time though, the Arethusa is going to be at the top. There you go, that should do as a decent spawn in. I want a lot of the small drones from the Condor wing to be in place, so that they can draw a lot of fire and also drop those all-important EMP bombs. Right then, let's hope that this battle will go a little bit smoother. Though I'm really not sure how smooth it can go with the trebuchet around. Yeah, with the trebuchet there. And it's also repairing its allies, which is just horrific. But once more, the battle barge is just taking hits again, and that is a real problem, because we do not have its bonus of being able to take out all of those shields from all of these craft, and also smoking all those sensors, reducing the accuracy, because the accuracy is incredibly high. The Arethusa again doing a decent job of trying to remove as many APS rounds from the targets, but it isn't able to maintain a bombardment for very, very long. It will take out several barrages, but if sustained barrage from multiple targets, it just will not be able to survive. Thankfully though, the trebuchet has a main weapon detonation, and so now is mostly ineffectual. The other craft though are doing an okay job, but firing their guns in all directions, doing a little bit of damage here and there. I noticed that we can actually try and capture this vehicle, so I actually spawn in a chair right next to it and leap onto it. Unfortunately, this is a really bad idea, because this sort of thing does seem to cause problems with actual corruption in the save game and the in-game play there. So I'm trying a few different things just to try and keep our forces going, because more enemy forces have spawned in. Although we started only fighting against the one, other forces in the nearby area have spawned in and are actually ready to fight as well in this combat. And that includes another Harlech, another Haskell, and also an Iron Cordon. My tier 2 decides, you know what, let's ram. Really bad idea. And take a ton of damage for that, and now the Iron Cordon has spawned in. But it's acting weird. This is the corruption which I mentioned earlier. It just sinks slowly down the sea, and you can see, just in the distance there, and a 2 damage on an AR, 2 damage, and it's been at minus so much, like minus 40, and it just keeps on going up. I've had this happen before in Ashes, and sometimes it doesn't fix itself. The best way is you need to save. You need to see if you can save and load. Otherwise, it's a reset. Well, that battle seemed to have bugged out. So let's just pause for a moment, pair everything up, because yeah, that's annoying if that load. But though I think I bugged it out by the way I captured the Bastion. Actually, it was a bit exploity in the way spawning in a vehicle like that. I think it can have a little bit of difficulty, well, recovering from that. So I think I actually corrupt it a bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to save the game, see if I can load it. Okay, so it looks like the game did save okay. Yeah. We'll quickly repair everything up. Oh no, the fleet's blockaded. That's a terrible way to be. Well, I couldn't remain unblockaded for much longer, so spawn everything in. This time, yeah, what we got? The battle barge again. It just takes a lot of hits. It's a bit of a shame because it is kind of needed in this fight. What I'll do actually is spawn in the Arethusa directly in front of it. Okay, so the battle barge and the Arethusa are basically in line with each other. So hopefully that will allow it to tank some of the hits, allowing then it to line up all its shots and kill the enemy where needed. Enemy is still fairly heavily damaged by the looks of things, though they do have the Iron Cordon in play. Yeah, the Iron Cordon, it's not good. And it's firing directly towards the battle barge, where I fortunately did place the Arethusa, which destroyed a first few barrages, but the next few barrages destroy the front turret of the battle barge there. And this has the benefit of lowering the block count and gun total of the battle barge, reducing its threat level, meaning that it's no longer a primary target for the entire Onyx Watch enemy fleet. And so they've now just begun firing towards the Arethusa, the next largest craft. I've just hopped on there to try and keep it all nicely repaired, and you can see I'm able to take out a good number of barrages there, and this is very, very good. But at this point you can see the ram system are just running out of power. The storage capacity is running low and shells are beginning to hit the front wooden panels there. But looking over at the Onyx Watch side, they have taken a lot of damage and they're not looking very well and very healthy at all. But then neither is the Arethusa, which I now retreat from the battle. Good number of the Onyx Watch craft are pretty much husks at this point, just looking around seeing what is actually operational and firing and fighting. The Iron Cordon is still sort of operational, but it's having a bit of difficulty with aiming. I believe its detection systems might actually be offline, meaning that it can't aim straight. Huge number of EMP seems to have disabled most of the local weapon controllers and or AI systems on it, but it is still essentially still alive. One thing I've noticed, the AI cruiser doesn't seem to be doing much at all, and I'm just wondering if it's something broken on it or whatever. I just think, actually, with the amount of EMP hitting the Iron Cordon, I should try and jump on it and try and capture it, or at least be there in case it does get caught and so I can capture it. It does not happen though, and it is actually destroyed. The other craft from the Onyx Watch just taking huge amounts of strikes. They have now getting a lot of smoke from various different targets there, and the Huskarl is again just such a beast when it comes to tanking enemy hits. All these craft though looking to damage, and I think that was the Bailey, got shot by a single shell and completely internally detonated. That just goes to show how strong that Sea Hog is with its main gun there, able to do one-shot certain designs. Good grief. Bastion, retreat, relics of the past. Okay, Battle Barge is... I'd like to be able to use the Battle Barge, but it's taking a lot of damage. The Condor Wing is MVP, in my opinion. This thing has been doing an absolutely fantastic job of keeping us alive. Those EMP bombs have been invaluable to the success of these battles, I must say. Being able to disable or at least damage the Onyx Watch quite a significant amount has been brilliant. We also now have the Phoenix Interceptor back, which, as I said, I thought died, but nope, it's alive. Alive and doing alright, actually. I'm going to move the other refinery up, because the refinery back down here is basically useless to us now. Need one towards the, well, need them towards the front line, so it's going to take 3 meters per second, so it's going to take an absolute forever, but it's better than, you know, nothing. You know what, I can't just leave this fight unanswered, can I? Okay, what's operational? Well, Phoenix Interceptor. Okay, you go in and get yourself blockaded. This is a purpose stalling tactic because it will stop the Onyx Watch advancing any further. I'm hoping this won't need that much of a combat force. I'm going to send in the Battle Barge and the Rain in against the Constitution and the Poseidon. I cannot remember how strong the Constitution or the Poseidon are though. But we should do decently well in this battle because everything is spawned in and we almost outnumber them. We're on a pretty even footing here. Do spawn the laser craft a little bit too close together. I think they might ram into each other. Whoops. And ram they do. And that is a colossal ram there. I am so surprised at the sheer amount of damage which happened there. I was expecting a little bit of damage, but taking 80% health off the rain there. Wow. Just goes to show that certain rammers are very, very powerful, and that is going to be a real problem for us when we come and face the white flares, particularly because they use certain ram exploits, and that's going to be hell. So we're facing again the Onyx Watch bombardment, and yeah, the battle barge once more just completely hammered almost instantaneously in the battle. We've been going a very short time, and the first couple of shots just completely destroy it. So unfortunately I am going to be retreating, well, removing it from the battle forces because it is not being able to perform its dedicated role. It's taking so very much damage. The AA cruiser is also taking a lot of damage, and again I'm just wondering, oh, is it? Yeah, it's not doing particularly well for our forces. So I'm considering at this point to maybe retreat it from the battle and maybe even move from the forces as well. The enemy land systems are proving to be highly irritating for the few missiles we have in play, and the shields as well also proving to be really very annoying for our combined damages. The AA cruiser though does come back online and actually begins chasing down these enemy forces, along with the interceptor doing a brilliant job at, well, making this vehicle fire all its weapons at it rather than the much easier target of the laser craft, allowing it to perform a good amount of damage. See there, you can just see some of the shots coming from the AA cruiser firing at this enemy boat here, which is actually trying to sink itself. Every time it fires, it knocks itself into the water and goes down to 80% and sinking, just because of the way it's being hit. But thankfully, the AA cruiser is nicely behind it, firing its shells, destroying the damage there. It's being pretty much instrumental to this victory. Otherwise it would have taken so much longer, as can be seen by the Seahawk there missing with the majority of its much more powerful rounds, but the smaller rounds from the AA cruiser are much more effective at causing the damage required here. I really shouldn't give the Onyx Watch a chance, because a single mistake such as spawning in the rain incorrectly made it that battle took so unbelievably long. I'm also going to get rid of the interceptor there, just because, yeah, it did alright, but we really need to be carrying on with everything else in terms of the cannon fodder designs. And it performed its role admirably, but we really do need to ensure that we are doing everything, killing everything. Speaking of which, the battle barge is severely underperforming. It's a very large design and it seems to be drawing a colossal amount of fire because of that. And it just doesn't have the defense systems in order to cope with the level of damage being thrown at it. As such, I am going to have to despawn it, because it's costing me so much to repair it every single battle. The Arethusa does take a similar amount of damage when it is also spawned in, but it at least is able to tank it for a good long while it is, you know, keeping its shields up and just trying to reduce the damage and just, well, as I said, tank as much as possible. The battle barge doesn't, unfortunately, not have that. The AA cruiser was also a design which I was considering of getting rid of, but the performance in that battle did show that it can do a nice catch-up, and those small guns will eventually injure and take out a target. So I'm going to keep it around for now because of how instrumental it was in that battle, mainly because of how I messed up the rain spawn there. But I think that's going to be it for this episode, so thank you very much for watching this episode of From the Depths, Nother Neter with myself, Anna Diffin. If you did enjoy the episode, please leave a like and or comment below, as it is always great to hear from you lot. Be sure to check out the rest of my channel for more From the Depths videos and other games, and also swing by the Discord channel for more direct interactive chatting regarding this Let's Play and others, and also the designs being utilised in the campaign. However, that's going to be it for me for now, and I shall see you next time. But until then, I'm out. Goodbye!